Hello, everyone. Welcome to Environmental Peace Building Association's initiative called Spotlight, in which we are exploring the stories and people behind environmental peace building. And today, it's a pleasure to have Risi, who is the program director of Environmental Change and Security Program at Wilson Center. Lauren, welcome to Spotlight.
Thank you, Buket. It's nice to be here.
It's great to have you here. And I would like to ask my first question. Could you please tell us about your current job?
Sure. I have a pretty awesome job. I work at a think tank in Washington, D.C. It's different than a normal think tank in that it was congressionally mandated to honor President Wilson, who was the only president to have a PhD. So our mandate is to bridge policy, practice, and research, and to do so in a nonpartisan, non-advocacy way. We're really here to help inform the best policies moving forward. And so there are a number of programs at the Wilson Center. Many of them focus on different regions around the world, so we cover every part of the globe. The program that I direct is one of the topical programs. So we focus on the connections between environmental change, population dynamics, health, and security, and helping to link the intersection of those issues to foreign policy and international development. So we do this in a number of different ways. We do our own research and analysis at the Wilson Center. We work with experts, whether they're at universities or practitioners working on the ground, international organizations, folks in government. You know, it's very helpful to know what those who are making decisions, what are the problems that they're grappling with, and what can we be doing to help them figure out solutions. We host a number of public events. Hopefully all of you have attended one or more of our public events with expert panels. We have private roundtables and workshops, and we have a blog, New Security Beat, which is a really great resource for those in this field who are looking to see where the research has been in the past and where it's going in the future, and hopefully to contribute your own voice to the field as well.
Wow, that's very impressive. Thank you, Lauren. It's great to hear about your work and how your organization plays an important role in promoting peace and sustainability. So I would like to ask you how your career path shaped like this. How you find yourself in this job?
Sure. I studied history in college and was really interested in peace building and conflict resolution. That's what I wanted to focus on coming out of school. I joined the Peace Corps, which is an organization in the US that sends volunteers to developing countries to serve as English teachers or to support small businesses, just to provide sort of capacity building support. And so I went to Bulgaria for 2 years right out of college and was an English teacher there for 5th to 8th graders. And that was a really wonderful experience. And I think I definitely got more out of it than I was able to give. It was definitely formative for me. When I got back to the US, it was the summer of 2005, and I got a job at a very fancy hotel in Laguna Beach, California. And 2 weeks after I got that job, Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans. And the Peace Corps has a program where they send return volunteers back into the field when there's been sort of a catastrophic event. So for the first time, they sent return volunteers within the US. They'd never sent volunteers within the US before. And so they had a program where you could sign up to go volunteer with the recovery in New Orleans. And so I quit the job that I had just gotten, which was horrifying for my parents, and went to New Orleans. And I was just 2 months that I spent down there. I worked mostly with firemen and a small group of Peace Corps volunteers, and we went door to door. We got there before the city opened back up, so there were people who had stayed, and so we made sure they had all the supplies that they need. And then we, as people were coming back, helped them connect with government resources, help them get sort of food and water supplies, help them with cleanup. And that experience got me thinking about the connections between environmental change, environment, and social and political systems. and seeing how the community rallied to support one another, and seeing also where there were real like tensions within the community and between the community and the decision makers, just sort of piqued my interest. And so from there, I found the environmental, I got at the University for Peace in Costa Rica, they had a master's program focused on environmental security and peace, which at that time was probably one of the only ones that really focused on this intersection. And so I went down to Costa Rica for a year and did my master's in environmental security and peace, and which is where I first heard about the Wilson Center and the Environmental Change and Security Program. And Jeff DeBelko was leading the program at that time. And so when I got back to the US, I moved to DC and applied for a job at the Wilson Center. I started out in the urban program, but the programs worked closely across. And so I had an opportunity to work with ECSP's team and with Jeff, and then slowly weaseled my way into that program full time, and have been there for the last 15 or so years.
Wow, so that's a very rich experiences with different actors, different, fields of environment. So, and also in this program and in life, we understand that career is not linear. So in this regard, I would like to ask you, what were the challenges you were facing while doing all this work? Because you also, have both academic and practitioner experience.
Yeah, I think some of the challenges, I guess, I've been at the Wilson Center for a long time, which is unusual, right? And especially in think tanks, there's not a lot of upward mobility. And so it's rare for you to come in at a program assistant level and work your way up. And so some of it, I've just sort of been in the right place at the right time. I think, one of the challenges, I think, of the position that I'm in is ensuring that the work we're doing is having an impact, right? And a lot of this work is incremental. And so like sort of a stick with itness is needed. And being able to sort of be patient and find those points of opportunity where you can have an influence, or where you can see where the research you need to be doing today is to really inform the challenges that we're going to be grappling with 5 to 10 years down the line. And so I think at times it feels like, being in DC can feel very far away from what's happening on the ground. And so maintaining that connection with the people who are really leading this work and making sure that we can use this privileged platform that we have in DC to represent that important work and those underrepresented voices is really important.
So, I would like to ask the other side of it. So what were the rewarding moments or fulfilling moments or experiences that you would like to share?
Yeah, I think that's what, the flip side of that is when we are able to bring people to DC to speak to, really influential decision makers that they wouldn't otherwise be able to connect with. When we're able to see a challenge sort of over the horizon that's coming and have the resources in place to really dive deep into the research today, so that 5 to 10 years from now, when those questions arise, we're in a position to help respond. I think, with Jeff at the helm 10 years ago, we were looking at, we called it backdraft, right? Looking at the unintended consequences of climate responses. And I think we're really seeing at this point, as climate responses are ramping up, you have skyrocketing demand for critical minerals. You have challenges where we're trying to, conserve forests where indigenous communities are living. So some of these challenges we see them coming to the fore now, right? And so having been able to 10 years ago take on that issue and really give it some thought, so that today, as we see these issues come sort of to the fore, we are in a place to better address them and recognize them for what they are, so that we can help policymakers understand how better to adapt policies so that we're not seeing those negative consequences.
So, I would like to ask you, what are the challenges you are facing while doing all this work? Because I mean, I would like to ask another question, like in terms of how you said, like helping the policymakers and supporting this field. There are many young people who would like to go enter the realm of environmental peace building. In this regard, I would like to ask, what would you like to suggest or offer some guidance or thoughts to young people?
Yeah, I mean, this is a field that is very welcoming for diverse communities and sort of young professionals who are looking to engage. I think that the sort of the I don't want to call them grandfathers and grandmothers of the field because I don't want to age them, but the folks who were starting to think about this in the 90s and the early 2000s are really incredible mentors to emerging professionals. And I think having that willingness to reach out and connect with the people who have been leading this field for so many years is really important, right? Just making those initial connections. Obviously, the Environmental Peace Building Association is a really important resource and provides a lot of that networking opportunity and recognize and ability to see what's happening in the field and what people are doing. I think, there's a lot of ways that environmental peace building is being integrated into organizations, and even whether it's the government or NGOs or think tanks, right? And it's not necessarily being called environmental peace building. And so I think having sort of recognizing where there are opportunities to do environmental peace building, whether or not it might be called that, or if there's an opportunity to join an organization and then sort of bring in environmental peace building, right? Because it's sort of adjacent to what that organization works on. But having that engagement with the Environmental Peace Building Association is a great way, like it's sort of a great first step, right? Because then you have all these tools and resources at your fingertips for how to do that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lauren. I would like to ask you that, looking ahead, what are your goals or aspirations, personal and professional, especially in the field of environmental peace building?
I mean, I think we want to continue to grow the field and sort of bring it into the mainstream in terms of how international institutions, how country, state governments are thinking about security and thinking about humanitarian response and thinking about development, and recognize the importance of environmental considerations in both how we recognize risks, but also how we, sort of develop resilient responses. And so continuing to help decision makers recognize where there are these connections and how we can best address them. I think one of our goals is really to be thinking ahead and understanding what we should be focusing on today in terms of research and sort of community building, so that in 10 to 20 years we're in a good position to continue supporting decision making. And so I mean, I think that's where a lot of that sort of time for thinking is needed, right? You sort of need that time to be thinking ahead and seeing how what we're doing today is going to be sort of playing out in the next 10 to 20 years, and where can we what can we be doing today to make ourselves really effective in the future. And that like a lot of that is just being connected with those doing this work on the ground, and with the people who are really doing the sort of thought leadership at universities, and maintaining those connections across those communities.
Great advice. Thank you so much, Lauren. So this is the end of the interview, and on behalf of the entire team at the Environmental Peace Building Association, we sincerely appreciate your time and contribution. It was an honor to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Buket.